Well, it's just 1 hour until Donald Trump goes head-to-head with Kamala Harris in the most important debate of her political career. The debate will be held at the National Convention Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right next to the iconic Independence Hall. Pennsylvania is a must-win state that carries 19 electoral college votes, and that's where we find our Washington correspondent, Annalise Nielsen. Annalise, you're at a watch party just outside of Philadelphia, and this is where you really get to know how voters are feeling and what they're thinking ahead of November 5.
Look, there's a few states that decide US elections. Pennsylvania is one of them, and there's a few voters in each state that decide it as well. And so these people here have the most powerful votes in the country. That's why we wanted to get away from the spin room and talk to the real voters who decide who will become the next president of the United States. Now, this is a huge night for Kamala Harris in particular. Her last debate was in 2020 for the Democratic primaries. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is now breaking the record for the most debates ever taken part by any presidential candidate, because this is his third run for the White House. And so this is going to be a tough competition. What we're being told is that Kamala Harris is confident. She's been preparing with mock debates in the lead up to this for days, and in particular she's leaning on her history as a prosecutor to take on Donald Trump. Donald Trump, of course, doesn't do any of that. He sits down with policy experts, but he's a very confident debater and is very confident with those off-the-cuff moments, which we saw in his debate against Joe Biden. And of course, that was the end of Joe Biden's campaign after that disastrous performance. So the stakes could not be higher. Joe Biden himself has said he spoke to Kamala Harris today to wish her well.
I spoke to the Vice President. She seems calm, cool, and collected. I think she's going to do great, and I'm not going to tell you what advice I gave her.
The other interesting thing is this is the first time that Donald Trump and Kamala Harris have ever met in person. It will be when they walk onto that stage. They'll be behind the podiums and there won't be much interacting. The mics will be muted. We've also heard Vice Presidential nominee Tim Walz give his advice to Kamala of how to take on Donald Trump.
You're going to watch Vice President Harris lay out a plan for this country, a new way forward. You're going to hear her talk about an economy that is an opportunity economy where everybody matters. She's going to talk about education being a path to a better future, not long-term student loan debt. She's going to about tackling some of the toughest problems like climate change and doing it in a way that grows our economy. On the other side of that screen, you're going to see a nearly 80-year-old man who's in it for himself talk about revenge and talk about how bad this country is and talk us down on everything he does.
So, Laura, to give you a sense of where we are, we're on a football field behind a church that's organised this. This is a non-partisan event, we're told, but you will see that that is MSNBC on the screen. So that might give you a bit of a hint about where most of these voters are leaning for this event. We wanted to talk to a couple of them ourselves so you can get a sense of what people are thinking about. Hi, gentlemen. How are you? Good. Thanks so much for agreeing to chat to us. Can you give us a sense of why you wanted to come out today to watch the debate?
Well, from my perspective, I wanted to get a little more information on some of the issues that will be brought to the table, specifically as it relates to the economy, taxes, etc.
Are you one of those undecided voters?
Not undecided. I'm going to vote Democrat. I'm going to vote for the Democratic ticket. So I'm not undecided, but just the opportunity to hear more.
Fair enough. How about you, sir? What are you looking forward to seeing tonight?
Well, I want to see the visuals. I want to see how they handle themselves. And, debates are so important. You go all the way back to Kennedy and Nixon. So the visuals are important. And I want to hear how they handle the issues. I mean, real issues. So it's an important debate.
How do you think Kamala Harris is going to do?
Well, based on her resume and who she is, she should do pretty well. She should do pretty well. I would think she would.
Has she got your vote?
Yes, she does. She does.
What's the number one issue for you this election?
Well, economics are key, but, in terms of where we are in the world, America's place in the world has to be maintained, and there's a lot of issues on the table. We need a serious person in place that can handle it, on, like I said, a serious basis. And she's a seasoned politician, and I just think her intellect and the way she handled herself, I look forward to her as Madam President.
We're going to be watching tonight. What about you? What's the most important issue for you for Kamala to address?
Well, I would kind of dovetail on what he said as well. And in particular, the debate, some of the issues will be discussed, but really I'd like to go below and dig further in detail into the issues that are important to me. So the economy, issues surrounding family and family values, and what in the end is going to be highlights of family values. The issue of finances, I'm in the insurance industry, so the issue of finances is near and dear to me from a selfish standpoint. But also the economy, what's happening worldwide in the world, not just here in the U.S. I'm not as concerned the issue about the border, which has been brought up, but those are probably more the focus for myself.
Thank you. Definitely not the only person we've heard referencing the economy, Laura. I think it's just been across the board here that is the number one issue. So I think that's going to be the tough thing for Kamala Harris to address. Donald Trump gets to say that he had a very strong economy when he was in office, and this is going to be probably the most important issue people want to see beyond how she performs and whether she can take on Donald Trump and look like a strong person standing next to Donald Trump, who's known to be a very good debater.
Yeah, we don't have long to wait to see how this all plays out, Annalise, on a football field behind a church right there outside of Philly. We will speak to you very soon. Of course, that debate is live right here on Sky News. It happens at 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss it.